Good afternoon, beloved community. I am host Melissa Miller of The Chosen Heroes, and I'm so glad to be back. It feels like it's been forever. It's been a month. I've had some health challenges, but, with God, God is my unfailing source for all things. So here I am, and I'm back. So we have today a very special guest. Kimberly Mosby is joining us. She's an unwavering advocate for targeted individuals worldwide, best-selling author of Unveiling Shadows of Coercive Control, and acclaimed TEDx speaker. And she's also the host of the Unveiling Shadows podcast. So, as always, let's kick it off before we bring Kimberly up on the stage with targeted justice news and review for this week.
In the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2026, there is a line 106 titled Cognitive Electromagnetic Warfare, priced at $44,267,000. It is listed under Department of the Air Force Research, Development, Test, and Evaluation, or RDT&E for short. This title signals that the Department of Defense considers cognitive effects within the electromagnetic domain to be a legitimate area of capability development, with real dollars attached. The reality or even feasibility of this capability has been concealed from us, the American public, for a long time. This obfuscation is already evident in the most recent NATO report on cognitive warfare that defines cognitive warfare as exploiting cognition to influence or modify decision-making through any means and technological advances. Although this implies directed energy-mediated cognitive attacks, none of the examples are energy-based. This 2025 report is actually a step back from the previous editions of NATO's cognitive warfare reports, and 2 steps backward from its 2023 report mitigating and responding to cognitive warfare that names directed energy as one of the enabling technologies. So, there you have it. After decades of cover-up, U.S. national security establishment is willing to name and fund cognitive electromagnetic warfare as an RDT&E item. If we can fund it, then we can surely admit its reality, which has been a sticking point for the intelligence community. Special thanks to Dr. Len Baer for this research.
Senator Rand Paul releases declassified report on a government weaponization victim. Christine Crowder was nominated for the FBI's Terrorist Screening Database, or TSDB for short, as handling Code 3. Just like Richard Lighthouse has been saying for years, 4 FBI agents stalked her at her house. Her husband is a federal air marshal. FBI Houston recommended her for the watch list and selectee status, placed in handling Code 3. The Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs unveiled in a report that the FBI spent 23 months tracking Christine Crowder after receiving an unverified tip from a former friend of the Texas resident that she breached the Capitol building. This is how you get nominated to the TSDB. All of this was done under the guise of counterterrorism. Use the search term counterterrorism to find government officials that are involved with gang stalking in your city, state, or country. Targeted Justice would like to thank Senator Rand Paul. We provided his contact information so you can thank him as well and share your story as a government weaponization victim.
Piyush is our new country manager in India and will be leading our community outreach efforts. Piyush is a victim of government weaponization for over 30 years now, with a solid tech experience for over a decade. As a victim, he has experienced reaction abuse, abductions, chemical experiments, directed energy and neuroweapons, memory loss and persistent gang stalking throughout school, college, and workplace. It took an immense effort for him to graduate through school and engineering college to build his career. Piyush takes immense pride in the resilience of all the chosen ones across the globe, and he now feels that it is time that all victims of government weaponization in India come together and start sharing their experiences openly. Piyush has found that sharing your extreme experiences, especially as a victim, can do wonders for your life.
Calling all digital warriors. Repost, share, and like this video on every social media site that's out there. We always looking for some awesome people willing to volunteer their time. Let us know what special skills and unique talents you possess by shooting us an email to tjustice2@proton.me. In the subject line, tag volunteer. Looking for more targeted justice content? We have several channels online, 100% free, on rumble.com. Appreciate what we do? We are accepting donations and they're all tax deductible. You can either hit this link to do a quick submission of payment or send us a check to the following mailing address. We are a non-profit organization. We have several different items at our store, ranging from clothes, cups, and merchandise. Either get something for yourself or buy a nicer gift for that special someone by hitting this link.
Thanks for taking your time to watch this video. And God bless. And God bless.
And thanks to Sean. I see that he is in the chat as well. Hi, Sean. Thanks again for all the work that you do for Chosen Heroes. And great video, as always, for the news. I have a couple of announcements before we get to our very special guest today. Anna Toledo has been in Washington, D.C. She's fighting the good fight for us. And that comes with a price. She has sacrificed being away from her friends and family in Texas and moved to DC. And if you are able to give a donation to continue the cause and the work that she's doing there, you can access the givesendgo.com/Toledo page to make a donation. I also want to give a shout out to Tranquility at tievents.org. I can't say enough about this site and all the beautiful work that Tranquility does, the thoughtfulness, and in organizing all events related to the community. It is very important that we as a community do not isolate ourselves, but surround ourselves with those who understand what we are going through. And no one understands more so than this community of what we go through on a daily basis. So please plug in. I want to thank everyone for liking, subscribing, and sharing the content of the Chosen Heroes. Your support, it means the world. I do this for each and every one of you. And, we're all in this fight together and we will see it to its end. And so before I bring Kimberly up onto the stage, I'm going to give a quick intro. Kimberly Mosby has faced unimaginable adversity. And yet she transforms the pain into power, refusing to be silenced. As a devoted mother, she endured the heartbreaking loss of her young daughter to breast cancer. But when she dared to publicly question the COVID-19 vaccine, her life spiraled into a nightmare of relentless surveillance, gangstalking, asset stripping, and psychological warfare. Inflicted not by faceless enemies, but by those closest to her who conspired to commit her to a mental institution for 360 days in a bid to seize control and bury her voice. Kimberly will share her raw journey of survival, exposing the hidden tactics of coercive control, along with inspiring those of us who are presently entrapped within the shadows of these programs. So let's bring Kimberly on up to the stage. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I'm so glad that you could join us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to be here. You're always so gracious in the way that you do your presentations, so I'm happy to be here.
Oh, and thank you. So to kick off the show, can you share how your journey as a targeted individual began and where some of the initial signs that you made realizing something was wrong? What are some of those early warning signs that others might recognize if they suspect they're being targeted?
Sure. So it really went from covert to overt April 24th of 2023. And I started noticing the holographic images. I had noises and lights in my house that weren't there, which terrified me completely. And then I came to discover, August of 2023, that's when they tried to put me into a mental institution. They, I was walking down an alleyway, this is in my TEDx, and a guy came out yelling at me because I was looking at stuff, in the garage, but I was still in the alleyway. And his wife started screaming. He came out, chased after me, put me in a headlock, slapped me across the face. This video is actually on my YouTube channel. And instead of being treated as the victim, I was treated as the aggressor. And I was subjected to humiliating treatment by the police officers. So they could only keep me for one day in that insane asylum. A month after that, my parents served me with a petition to have me put into a mental institution for 360 days against my will. When I went to the first hearing, it was at the Huntsman Institute for Mental Health. And I walked in and the commissioner looked at me and said, well, you're obviously not here for mental health issues. You're here for drug addiction. And I was like, I guess I'm here for whatever you guys want me to be here for. So my parents are very influential in the state of Utah. My estranged stepfather was a House legislature for 12 years, and he served as minority House leader for 4 of those years. So to be in politics, you have to be in bed with basically the church, because church and state are not separate in Utah.
Right.
Yeah. So I spent probably about $30,000 for an attorney to make this case go away. And I had to get psychological evaluations, which cost me $4,000 each for 2 of them. And that was for me to fight for my basic rights of freedom and freedom of speech, because they don't like people that go against the mainstream narrative that they're trying to steer. And so they'll call you crazy, or you are paranoid delusional, or you're suffering from schizophrenia, and that none of those are true. Obviously, the case was dismissed in February of 2024. So,
wow. And you said this, began while you were doing your TEDx, after you did your TEDx talk. That's
so. It was all before. So the case was actually dismissed before I did my TEDx.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then your TEDx is it involves the discussion of coercive control. To hear that your parents pushed for a whole year worth of psychological treatment, that seems just so extreme. Is it because you feel that again, you are not going along with the narrative, you are exposing things that most people won't quite or even come into the concept of thinking, and that to me seems so severe to attempt to silence you in this. Do you think that they felt like it would be a bad reflection on them, knowing that what their background, like you said, your stepfather, I mean, it's just so extreme, and how heartbreaking, and to know that your own, family has done this, but many targeted individuals have experienced, family involvement as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had 2 of my grown children working for me at Gateway Title at the time. I've now lost that company, obviously. But they were conspiring against me behind my back to my parents. And my estranged mother is a narcissist, so she had to take control of the situation the way that Cindy does.
Mm-hmm.
And so what those boys were trying to do is to get guardianship over my estate, because if they were able to put me into that mental institution for 360 days, then the court would have granted them guardianship over the estate. And the reason that I can confirm that is because my estranged older sister sent my aunt and uncle, the only two family members I speak to, a text message that said, "We're not trying to get guardianship over Kimberly for no reason." And then I had my aunt send me that text message. Like, you know, it's very interesting. And I think that I want people to realize part of their manipulation, because all of my youngest son and my stepdad and mother did actually take the experimental bioweapon. And so with that, they, I'm sure, could put all sorts of this technology into their heads and have them and brainwash them into thinking that I was this certain way when I wasn't. So I hope that makes sense with this, with the COVID.
Right. Yes. The manipulation based off of the contents made them more susceptible to that manipulation. Yes.
Yes.
Definitely following there. I know you've gone through so many challenges, but in all of it, what do you find the most challenging based off your experience? You know, you said that you went from covert to overt. Was when it went into overt, to me, because I think it started out like that for me as well. At least you knew that something was being done against you. But is there anything that was like particularly the most challenging? I mean, with you, was it the betrayal of your family members, or because I mean that's a deep hurt.
Yeah. Betrayal trauma was the thing that I had to get through, and I had to do rapid response EMDR therapy to where I could talk about these situations without getting overly emotional about them, without attaching an emotion, because part of the program is to get you to react. They want to see you, you know, angry or sad or, you know, in an emotional triggers. And so I had to do a lot of inner work and with the help of a therapist, obviously, with the EMDR.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And for those that are unaware of MDR, can you explain what that is?
EMDR is like an eye movement, but we didn't use the eyes. In fact, I think the psychologist that invented it wish she didn't use that term, because you don't always have to use eye movements. Mm-hmm. So what we would use is a paddle, vibrational paddles that I would hold in my hand that would stimulate the conscious and subconscious, because you have your subconscious and your consciousness on each side of your brain. And right. So we used paddles to stimulate it. And then I would find my safe place. And then we would pick a topic like when my parents came to my house with two people from the U of U mental ward trying to get me taken away after my deceased daughter's birthday, which I threw a wine party for. And in that instance, you can use fire, water, and so, you know, a multitude of things. So obviously, you know, when I chose fire, I would imagine the building going up in flames, you know, stuff like that. And then you will return back to your safe place. And it just helps your brain process the trauma.
Yes, and thank you for that, because I know that to me it's very important, because everybody is on it's an individual journey, but it is a lot of commonalities. But I think one of the lights that is in this is that we have to push to pursue what helps us on an individual basis, because we know that the traumas are the emotional anchors that they use to keep us tethered, and to keep us small and confined and restricted in this, all the tactics that they use. They really need our emotional buy-in, and they need to keep the flames of the trauma burning. So for me, like you, I had to go on a self-healing journey. It became energetically, I had to transform. I could not continue to stay in the anger and the resentment and the powerlessness that this experience it invokes on us, and that I wasn't at my end, but I could transform what was happening into a purpose for me. And it's very important for those going through this experience that we can't stay stuck in the past, in the what was our life prior to being targeted. That is another pitfall and a trap.
Yep. 1,000,000,000%. Yes.
So in your book, Unveiling Shadows of Coercive Control, which, draws on your personal insights,
Yep.
what was the most challenging part of writing it, and what do you hope that readers take away from it?
The most challenging part of writing it was kind of reliving the story, when all of this started happening to me. But it's written in a diary format, starting from April 24th of 2023 and going through until just before my case was dismissed. So I was on DJ Chris's podcast, and I was number 1 for 2024 on his book club list.
Chris is amazing.
Yeah, so that was really awesome. I think a lot of people could relate, but also that was part of my therapy. Part of my therapy was putting the pen to paper to help me heal.
And I know that journaling was therapeutic for me as well, because when I reflected back on it, years, later, it's like, wow, it shows you just how far you've come and what you've endured and what you have survived. With your writing of the book and your knowledge of the synthetic telepathy and the other advanced tactics evolved. Some of those have evolved even since, the writing of your book. And what new insights would you share with those just beginning to navigate this reality?
Try to distinguish what is your thought and what is the V2K thought that's being put into your mind, and the voices, because they used my daughter's voice on me in the beginning when I started noticing this, and my deceased daughter's. And if that's not sick and twisted, I don't know. It's just beyond me. So, yeah, I would say understand that you're not alone. First of all, that was a big thing for me, because I knew I wasn't the only one. I knew I just had to start speaking out about it. And in fact, I urge everybody to start doing videos about what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, because pretty soon it's going to come out, and there's not anything that they can do about this except for maybe stop it.
Absolutely. I think that our personal autonomy is, what they're trying to take from us, and for us to just become lost in the experience. Like you mentioned, these are very sickly designed programs that the end goal is to break and destroy and discredit an individual.
Yep.
And it's the sickest of sick. I've heard so many testimonies from targeted individuals, and then even, pulling from the tactics that we used on me, personally as well. But this is what we're up against, the sickest of the sick. To use your deceased daughter's voice, is such a common thread. And for those out there that are going through experiencing an auditory effect similar, where they're using something so personally, evoking, they're trying to invoke this, reaction and trauma into you. You have to know it for what it is. And it is a tactic and a manipulation to break you. To me, I think knowing is where, the relief is, because if you know it is a tactic, then you have caught it and you are assimilating that. And this is where you can evolve. It's easier said than done. I know that people can get very stuck in this. It's very angering. And I was stuck for quite a long time in that anger phase.
Yep.
But at one point you have to know that you can take that anger and you can turn it into activism and spreading awareness and helping other, community members that are going through this too. It really is a strength in numbers. Our voices are our most powerful weapon against this and exposing it.
Yes, I agree with you. Like 1,000,000,000%. We have to start. Dr. Robert Duncan also called them voice of God weapons. That is correct. And he also regretted making them because he said, I think that I've unleashed Satan, basically. You can go watch him on Jesse Ventura's video, The Conspiracy Theories. And now we know that when something says conspiracy theories, it's probably 99.9% true.
Absolutely, because there's been so many of these conspiracy theories that have came to fruition. And I think that for all of us, patience it's hard when you're in the crossfires of this technology and the psychological warfare. But we have to sometimes, I have to remind myself just to zoom out, because if we stay in the details in the weeds, and then we're just engulfed in that. But there have been some great strides that happened last year in recognition. There is more and more discussion about the nefarious, motives and impacts of that biological injection. There have been more and more things, more and more people coming forward about, directed energy. And, they're really trying to silence the whole Havana syndrome impact. But the waves are still out there. They're going strong. And I really do think they're just going to have to come to terms with it. We have a small set of people that are controlling the entire world, that want their agendas and their motives to remain behind that veil. But we are strength in numbers, and that we have the power to turn and shift this by getting the awareness out there to others. And I think, unfortunately, some people are so entrained, that there's nothing that's going to help that, but we have to let that go too, because you can stay stuck trying to want a certain individual or group of individuals within your life to understand what you're going through, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you planted the seed. So do you have advice for those who, like yourself, that have experienced that rejection from their closest inner circle and their family?
Yeah, well, part of the program is to get you isolated. So they tore through my inner circle. So I would say be comfortable being by yourself and getting to know who you really are. And then you have to pull yourself up from being in the victim mode to being into the survivor mode. So basically, you're going to have to soldier up to get through this. But we will. I promise you.
Yes, it can be scary and a daunting, task.
Yep.
Thinking about you have to pull up your own bootstraps, and because I learned very quickly that no one externally, whether it be law enforcement, some family, was going to help me fix this. I just had to really call on, my inner strength. And like you said, you have to really become comfortable with who you are.
Yep.
Part of all of the history of psychological manipulation in MK Ultra is splintering the mind through trauma, torture, right? So then what that does is that fragments you and splits you into parts. And what they use is those undesirable parts of who you are to make you feel like for some reason you did something to deserve this, or something about you is warranting this, which is all a lie, a fabrication. But we have to love all parts of who we are, because those undesirable parts of who we are some of our toughest ones that helped us get through this experience. So I think it's very important to embrace all of who you are and love yourself as a whole and see yourself integrated, because that is another combat against this program, because they want you to stay, splintered.
Yeah.
And in your TEDx talk, you spoke about coercive control. How did that differ in your experience from writing the book?
So the TEDx was interesting because you have to work with a mentor basically to get the speech down. And by the way, my speech was about 8 minutes, and my microphone just happened to go out for about 3 minutes of that. So it only ended up being like 5 minutes and 30 seconds. But coercive control is the same way as psychological warfare. They're trying to coercion, the use of force or threats, right, to persuade you. With control, the influence to influence and direct your behavior. So that's the same thing as a psyops, but I just worded it differently so that people would listen. Because I had some people after the TEDx come up to me and say, I just experienced that at my job and have been experiencing it, but I didn't know what to call it, but it's called coercive control. And I said, yeah, even though they were probably being, gang stalked, having their character defied, defamation of character. They love to do the slander. And so, but the TEDx was fun. It was a good time.
And that was very clever too, because you were able to put it in a digestible format for others. And this is what we need to realize and remind ourselves sometimes. And it's hard. It's hard to do that because we live and breathe this manipulation and weaponry, 24/7. But if we start talking about it in the terms that we know what it is, then people just, they cannot assimilate it. It's like trying to feed a baby a steak, so that we have to kind of, shift our wording,
Yes.
to something, more palatable for them, to get their interest and their buy-in, because we don't want to lose them right at the beginning. If we just start going about, voice to skull, voice to God technology, and all of this other stuff, we've got to meet it with some, patent information, and just kind of approach it. We have to be creative in the way that we approach it. And I think that, how you presented the coercive manipulation and control is very, very significant, because there's not anyone on this earth that has not had some form of that. And that is where the buy-in is. And that's what continues to get the attention of people. So we can try a variety of different ways. We never know who we're reaching, but we just need to continue to be creative.
Yep, I agree. 1,000,000,000%. Again, because in just your wording, you can change someone's perspective. And so I knew that going into this, because when I was speaking with Erica, my friend that I do the survivor and the skeptic and survivor with, she didn't realize at a certain point that she was targeted until, earlier at the end of this last year, when they made her eardrum burst. They hit her with a directed energy weapon. And I'm still not even convinced that she understands that even today. So it is very much how you approach the subject. And patents, they can't deny patents, but they may be brainwashed where they won't even look at it. It'll just be like in one ear, out the other ear.
I think it's like, it's almost like a safety mechanism in some people. Like, it is just too much for them to comprehend. I'm more of a tree shaker kind of person, so
Yeah.
well, once I get a sense of some information that is truth oriented, I want to continue to dig. And sometimes, in all of the research that I've done in these 13 going on 14 years of being targeted, it gets overwhelming, because just when you think you've understood all the layers of sick, there's another one around the corner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, there
I'm
is.
like, okay, I just have to remain flexible. I'm the water, not the rock. I'm just going to continue to pursue, because it's all part of a bigger picture, and the bigger picture is control and power.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no respect for life form. You've got those that sit at the top and thinking the fat cats of sorts, right?
Yeah.
And that we're just the pawns and the sheep that they can manipulate. I wasn't put on that earth for this. I'm going to continue to question everything, and you're a powerhouse, so I know that you understand that as well, because and thank you for your bravery in creating the Unveiling Shadows podcast. So how did that all come about? Because again, you've had some wonderful guests, out there sharing their targeted journey. So can you tell us how that all began?
Yeah, and that began shortly after I wrote my book, and then we re-edited it to add some footnotes. And then I said, I can't stop. I have to keep going, because I know that I'm not the only one that this is happening to. And I want people to be able to have a platform to come on and tell their stories, because that is also therapeutic in and of itself. Like Sabrina Wallace loves the TI community. She wants you guys to go learn the how the Internet of Everything Everywhere is working. And she's got all of the, books and PDFs and binders to show how all this fits together. But I'm one of the ones, as you are, where people need to come on and share their stories, because the more of us that tell it, the less we are to be ignored. And we are light beings, by the way. And that's the reason why we were targeted in the beginning, is because we carry the light.
I agree with you 1000%. They know that we are the light bearers on this this earth, and we have that connection with the divine, with God, and we know how to press in. And there's something about us in our whether it be our DNA or our biofield, that they know we're not an easy win. We are built to withstand this, and it's hard and it's daunting. It really does present that fork in the road. The experience does. It's either you're going to perish or you're going to prevail and continue forward. And it's that that saying, the dark night of the soul. I think is that Carl Jung, But it really does. If we take the experience as a teacher of who we are, what we've gone through, and what we are going through, but what we gone through before kind of was the stepping stone to prepare us for what we are going through in this journey. And that I can say from my birth and the events that I went through, it made me strong. It was wisdom that I called upon. It became my strength, bullying and all the things, these trials that we go through, all of these horrific events is what made us where we're at the point where we can navigate through this. We just have to believe in ourselves. That's where we lose our power, is buying into what they're trying to sell us about who we are. And I think one of the greatest tests is tapping into our personal power, because that is exactly the kryptonite to this program.
Yes. I couldn't have said it better myself. You're right. You're right on the telepathic wave there.
So with the I want to mention the Unveiling Shadows podcast, which it live streams on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And did you just recently have a particular a date change on it? I remember reading right before I joined the live stream today that there was a time change.
Yeah, so due to scheduling conflicts, we were doing it Thursdays for the Survivor and the Skeptic at 5 on Thursdays, Central Standard Time, but we had to move it to Mondays. So we'll begin again tomorrow at 5 Central Standard Time. So yeah, when she has young kids, so we have to juggle around the school schedule and
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
So you've interviewed quite a few survivors on your show. What common patterns or themes have you noticed across their stories?
So the ones that I do with my interviews with the community, I do those on a scheduled non-live recording event. And obviously there's the V2K, the sensitivity campaigns, the gangstalking, the remote neural monitoring. So we all have the same common thread, because let's put it this way. Everybody at this point is a target, whether they have been overtly targeted at this point or not is just a matter of time.
That's true. And I really do believe, because everyone is under the looking glass, whether they want to come to terms with that or not. We are just activated. We got activated. That's for sure.
The most stubborn ones, the most opinionated ones, the most intelligent ones, the most light bearer ones, the people that will tell the truth, those were the ones that got to go first.
Mm-hmm. They just, trying to, get us out of the way. And I really do think that because we do, wield this light within us, they do measure us by trying all of these different tactics. We are the ones that are aware of what is going on. And so to me, I think awareness is such in our benefit, because then we know what is happening. There is a plethora of means of how it's happening. And there was a question that I had flagged. It's like, what are they getting from doing this? I think that was it. Let me see where I flagged that question from one of our viewers here. We have a lot of activity in the chat. I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Yes, but I thought I flagged it, but I'm not finding it right now, but it was something on the lines of, okay, so what are they getting out of this? I think it's just, it is really about, it's furthering, warfare, the cognitive, it's, perfecting the craft of it, what works, what doesn't. And they're dissecting and interpreting the commonalities of, okay, most people are going to stumble on this because there's so many commonalities in what they do with each of us. And the isolation is a key component, because if you don't have support and you're withdrawn and you're isolated, that is when you're most vulnerable for them to attack you psychologically, to have you act out in a way that is not favorable to you, but discrediting you, or, getting you labeled inappropriately, whether it be mentally or convicted, because, again, the voice of God and the weapons and the gangstalking, people invading your personal space, your home, that is very, very much trauma, purposeful trauma.
Yes. And they're getting information for their beast AI. One commenter, viewer said, I actually agree with that, because they're trying to build a digital twin of you. So that's why it's very important not to react, because they're trying to get a reaction out of you. So if they can't know your little, what you're going to do next, then it's going to be harder for it. AI is the Antichrist. And I personally try to use it very limited, because it's not good.
It isn't. And AI is based off of pattern recognition too. Just like we can recognize the patterns in this in their system. That's some of the flaws, because okay, here comes another one of these loop. Oh, they tried that one before. They're trying to, see if it's going to work now. It's just almost like it's so foolishly designed on that repetitiveness. But, in some cases, repetitive can wear down an opponent, right? If you're constantly doing it. I think they try that as a tactic too. But the one thing with, having a digital twin, you're in a battle with yourself. So unpredictable. How many times, if you looked at your day, is it the same as are you doing the same things that you did the day before?
Yeah.
You got to mix things up. Like for those that are, heavy with the gang stalking, you have to, don't even think about what route you're taking, but just get in the car and then make that split-second decision and mix it up. So we have to be really creative in how we navigate through this, through this, and the unpredictableness. I catch myself on doing my same routines all the time. I'm like, oh, this is here I am doing the same exact thing over and over at the same times, and then I'm like, I need to kind of mix this up.
Yes,
because you're throwing it off. It's like, wait a minute, but the predicted behavior is she should be doing this right now or going this route right now, but she's doing something different.
Exactly. Yeah, because they'll try to boss you around and influence your decisions anyway. So don't let them, recognize what is your thought, and then what is the implanted thought.
And then another, tactic is they want to use anything that they, can be perceived as unfavorable about you, just to manipulate you. You know yourself better than anybody.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like, well, some things why don't you make an improvement for yourself in the things that they're saying? I know in the beginning, and this has always been something, and I don't know, others can relate to it too. They love to focus on what you're eating, if you're gaining weight, and just the whole grade school stuff, right? The nanny boo boo. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so stupid.
It is stupid. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do you have any advice for someone that is, to try to take some steps on documenting and protecting themselves? What things have you found that have helped you through your journey?
Well, I used to have a lot of cameras, and they can hack into those just like the Ring camera is part of the flock, police state systems. I still have my Ring cameras outside of my house, just in case someone does come up when I'm not here. And I wish I would have listened to that piece of advice when I still lived in my condo before I sold it, because I would have seen those people breaking in. But they can manipulate that data. So don't drive yourself crazy. I would document it. I would write it down, in a journal, and take pictures if you need to do that, so you have some video evidence. But don't lose yourself in it. Don't let them waste your energy every day by spending hours at a time, because I did that at one point, documenting and videoing, and you have to step out of that. And as one viewer says, prayer, meditation, singing, dancing, anything where you can find your bliss really pisses them off.
Oh, yeah.
Pisses they
sure.
off. It does.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, she's happy. She can't be happy.
Yes, I mean, that is that is the one thing they don't like. They don't want you to have any kind of joy or peace, but you can. You can
Yes.
find it takes practice. You can find peace in the storm. You really can. You just need to focus on your well-being. And again, you've got to balance out the time. You can't be in the deficit of not, replenishing yourself.
Exactly.
Taking time, doing something that is, enjoying to you, and to just do your best to shut out the rest. For those with V2K, and, you've got that constant chatter, but again, you've got to find your countermeasures of getting your mind trained to not pay attention to it, to equate it to garbage that is background noise, which that's what it is. And that's a really hard thing to do but the whole goal is to, captivate your attention, to throw you off course for your day, and, to keep you stuck. Do you have some advice for those that are suffering with the audio and the visual images?
So I had to, in order to get mine to go away, like I have about 10%. So I was able to relieve about 90% of it. And that was when I started recording my paperwork to become an American state national. And so when people say we live in a parallel universe, we do. You've got the Washington, D.C. Contractors that were given authority, but really are going to be fired soon. So there are no Democrats, there are no Republican, there are Americans, and there are U.S. citizens that is owned by the Crown Corporation, which is who we got to be our contractor. And now we're taking back the Republic, and anybody who I can encourage enough to change your status, I would suggest doing that. And you can go to 528global.com and you can change your status there for free. So that was one way that I removed myself from their programming, because you have to remember, they want to get the bioweapon in you. They need your DNA. And then they have to have some asshole put you on the terror screening database. And so once you remove yourself from the corporation, which you were taken at birth, by the way, when they put that birth certificate with your name in all capital letters, They put you into this programming basically at birth. And if people want to learn more about what I'm talking about, how the Federal Reserve is fake, the U.S. government is the U.S. government incorporated, it's not even real. Look at a series called You Know Something Is Wrong When. And it'll take you through every lie that we have been told, because we are a really wealthy country. We need to take back our country. Taxes are usury, so we shouldn't even be paying taxes. We shouldn't be paying property taxes. And so I have literally spent the last 6 months going through and re-educating myself about all the lies that they taught us in school. And because the schools look like basically prisons, you know, and then they want you to obey. They want you to learn what they want you to learn. Then they ring the bell. Then you go out to recess. Then you come back and you are basically told a bunch of lies, and they're enslaving you that way, basically.
Yes, it is. It is enslavement. I believe, looking at it from a corporate lens of how, we are cultivating the resources through, making money, and they're taking part of it. Yeah, it does seem very coercive, though. We're just we're little sheep, consuming consumer sheep, right? We're going to consume, and buy, and then be taxed on everything. So it does really, if you look at it, it is a lot of corruption and control over us in this way. And then when we need a hand up, there's no, then there's nothing there to help us.
There isn't one. So that's why I had to change my status. So I think people really need to look into that, because that's how I removed myself from their system. And it's been very interesting learning about everything that they've lied about, that they teach you in the Rockefeller education system and the Rockefeller medicine system. Like you were speaking with me about how you did some herbology things to get feeling better. Everybody needs to go back to nature.
Absolutely. Because, big pharma is just a well-oiled old beast that just keeps you sick. It's symptom treatment, not root cause. What we need to do is get back to the roots, the basics of, what heals, and not mask symptoms. It's a very, very toxic cycle of, it is billions of dollars, this industry, right? We just have to start questioning everything. This whole experience just kind of cracks you wide open to question everything and be able to see, the manipulation and the truth for what it is. For those that are experiencing the smear campaigns as being targeted, what techniques helped you through the discrediting?
Knowing myself and knowing the lies that they were telling weren't true. And they were going behind my back and not even coming and talking to me to my face about it. Like, that's just grade school. I'm sorry.
It's cowardly.
It's cowardly. That's the best word. They're a bunch of cowards.
Yes, it's just like little shadow people behind bushes throwing rocks at you, but can't come and say it to your face,
Exactly.
With the V2K, when it all started to me, I'm like, why don't you just come tell me this to my face? Come and tell me to my face.
Exactly.
Coward isn't going to make its face known, so it's just going to be in the shadows. And for those that are going, you had mentioned about being in the this program wanting the isolation, and is there some first steps for those who feel like, they can't find that joy? They're, maybe questioning, not going outside and putting off things, and it's just really hard, and they're just in that cycle of, not being able to find their, joy and peace.
Yeah, I've been there. The worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, is isolate yourself inside your place, because if you're not moving, then you're going to be more heavily targeted for the directed energy attacks. So get outside, go ground yourself, find somewhere quiet. If you can't find a quiet place, put some some bullet earbuds in, so it quiets your thoughts that way. Sometimes I sleep with them in my ear because I haven't been able to get rid of the full 100% tinnitus, the ringing in my ears. But that's because of the dirty electricity grid and the 5G towers, that we're bathing in radiation basically. But yeah, take some time for yourself. Don't isolate, and go do your errands, go do what you need to do. And grounding is a big one. I think that's really important. Put your feet on the grass, put your feet in the ocean. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think as well, grounding is very important. We need a way to discharge all of the directed energy that is, thrown at us on a daily basis. I mean, we're sitting around in a network, a hub in our homes, whether it be, Wi-Fi, smart meters,
Yep.
routers and Bluetooth technology. I've just kind of sworn off any, I used to have like AirPods. I do the, wire cable.
Wired one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we have to, we're already getting hit with so much. So we have to kind of mitigate, and limit that, sometimes when things are going south, turning off the phone, the cell phone too, or, going in airplane mode. We gotta, kind of limit all of the stuff that's all around us, because it's so much.
Yes. When I don't use my Wi-Fi, when I'm not going to be on my computer, I unplug my Wi-Fi. And then also I think heavy metal detox is extremely important, especially for us. And
Absolutely.
many of us have foreign bodies. Like I have 17 foreign bodies that are being megahertz frequencies, mainly owned by the DoD and the DHS and DARPA. Like when I got my scans back from Jesse, I literally cried. I didn't cry when I was getting them done because I already had a feeling that I might have foreign bodies. But, to actually look at these people, and it's not even the Department of Defense anymore, it's called the Department of War. And then you're like, oh, these are 528 megahertz, not hertz, like megahertz. And then you're just like, this is something else.
I know it's so I am pretty certain I do have that as well. I mean, it's almost like you have to. I just have the discernment and knowing, where these could potentially be. And there's a plethora of ways and manners of how it could have happened, because this has been going on a while, and it's such an atrocity. It's such a lack of respect for life and humanity.
Yes.
And I think us light bearers on this earth, those who are experiencing it, I mean, we play a very critical role for humanity and the future of humanity. And not only humanity, but Mother Earth and its creatures, right?
Yes.
Because this earth and the creatures are all being doused with this directed energy as well. It's like this is the epitome of what happens when mankind goes sideways, because the lust of power, control, and greed and manipulation has become the forefront, and all of morality and all that is good and respectful of life is gone by the sideways because of it. And what happens is, not only are they trying to control and destroy, the light on this earth, but the earth itself too.
Yes.
And so I really do feel that this is a very pivotal time for us to be in this life, because I really do believe it's a great awakening coming forward.
Yes.
And more of this manipulation and these shadow programs that are going against the future of children and humanity itself, and the earth. It has to come to a head at some time, because it's just gone sideways.
Yes, it has. It's time to get it back on track. Yeah.
It's time for a reset here. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
But not the reset the globalists wanted. Instead of the Great Reset, it's called the Great Awakening, because
That's
not
right.
enough
The
people.
Great Awakening. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you, looking ahead, and what future plans and writing projects or advocacy work do you have coming forward? I do know that you have the Radical Truth Summit that is coming up in May. Do you want to talk to us about that and other projects that you have in the works?
Yes, actually, we ran it for the free entry, and it was this last year. So it was 2025. But now we're just, I'm working on getting some more people on the Radical Truth Summit. So it's behind a paywall. So it's lifetime access for the $27, where you can see videos from people that either are targeted survivors themselves. I have Dr. Jack Cruz on there. I have Dr. Nicholas Corin from the UK. I have Brandon Iglesias. Dr. Ben Lair is on there. There's like 14. Amy Hollum's on there, and they all touch on something different, but it gives you a little different perspective and more information on what exactly is happening here. So, and then maybe this is a way that you can introduce your family members that are not believing in you to go on to the Radical Truth Summit and, start educating themselves.
And that's a very good point. I think, the podcast and, people giving their testimonies. I mean, there's just way too many people on this earth that are experiencing this for there to be, such a denial. I think it just takes some people time to digest it, and, and then some are just going to be closed off, because it's just like, it's like
terrifying.
A computer that is like system error, they just, it's just too much, but it's there. We've done our work. We planted the information, the truth, and, let the truth do what it does best. It will come back and resurface and activate at a later time, but we don't have to get lost in someone's reaction or denial of it. What we need to do is just keep moving forward, because I think the denial from others too is another trap where we can fall and become disheartened and lose hope. But it doesn't matter. We've done what we needed to do, and we move on from those said individuals, and we keep going, because we will miss opportunities to help educate others about what is really going on behind the scenes.
Yes. Don't waste your breath if it's falling on deaf ears.
Absolutely. It's like, you can lead a horse to water, but doesn't mean they're going to drink it, right? In their own time, they may go back and take a couple of sips. So as an advocate, what message of hope or empowerment would you like to offer our community who feels so overwhelmed? I'm looking at some of the comments, and I know that there's so many at that place right now of overwhelmment. and the constant harassment and the violations. Can you give them a message of hope?
I hope so. I want you to stay strong because we've got this, which is what I always say at the end of my podcasts. And then more importantly, you are a light being. And so step out of the victim mode into the survivor soldier mode and do everything you can in your power to become whole. And I promise you that this is going to end, and very, very soon.
There's just too much coming forward recently. We just need to, keep our eye on the prize, which is getting this fully exposed and shut down, and for for it to cease upon us. I think that it's hard at times, but there's something so special about each and every person that is being targeted, that light within, that they are using the absolute most sophisticated technology against you. So you need to flip the script on these perpetrators, that where they want to demean you and diminish you and make you feel lesser than who you are. You are special, and you're seen, and the part of all of this is how you became targeted, right? It's just something we carry within us, that we seek the truth. There's something special about us that they sought after to do this to us, to discredit us. Because why? Because we were seen as a threat. A threat to corruption, control, and manipulation.
Bingo. Bingo.
Yes.
Okay, so Anthony, you can email me at info@unveilingshadows.com.
Yes, and let's go through some of the chat is very active. So if you want to point out or some of the others that are making comments as well. So many good comments. I love the support within the chat for the podcast. Helping lift up others, and we're all going through this. And as Kim stated, we got this.
We do. 1,000,000,000%.
Yes, and Lynn Rom 10 says hardwire and disable your internet if you can, and put everything on surge protectors. Yes, a lot of this, they piggyback off of the electricity and all of the, electrical components, within your environment.
Yes.
And so, yes, we do have to take measures in that will help mitigate some of that. As Kim stated, the dirty electricity. And Gabriel says, too many people are dealing with it for them to say they don't know what is going on or even deny it. I think they look quite foolish when they start denying things, acting like they don't know what's going on. But, I think also there's this sworn secrecy. To me, if you got yourself into a situation where you are in a position of power and authority and control, and you see that it is directly harming innocent individuals, that's where you need to be having a moment with yourself, and cleanse your soul and do the right thing. You go into it not knowing that, you think some of these people, they get sworn into these things, they don't know that they're going to be harming innocent civilians by doing so. They're thinking, oh wow, look at me, I got this job, it's important, and it's all of this. But then the point where it comes to, oh well, I'm harming innocent others, I don't know. Other people may not be made of the same stuff, but that would be where I think it would be worth it to speak up. And I know that they have these sworn secrecies. If they speak out, then they get eliminated. But, wouldn't you rather finish strong? But that's just me. I would risk everything to make sure that the truth got exposed. And that's where I found myself in a situation working for a corrupt business where I saw that things that they were doing was adversely impacting other people's lives. And that's the meter within me going, red alert, speak out, speak the truth, and that's what got me targeted. So I don't regret it. I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm a much stronger person as a result of it. And so are each and every one of you that are watching as well. You are strong, and we together, we have this.
Yes, we do. There's my hearts for all of you.
Well, I really appreciate you joining in today. This has been a great discussion. And again, I want to bring up the slide. You can check out the podcast that Kimberly has done on the Unveiling Shadows. Her website is up at the top. That is kimberlymosby.me, then unveilingshadows.com for the podcast. There is a link on Unveiling Shadows for a free chapter of the first chapter of the book. The book is available on Amazon.com. And any last remarks or any shout outs you'd like to make, Kim, before we leave?
It was wonderful being here. I really enjoyed it. And I'm very happy that you're doing a show like yours in support of the targeted survivors and the TI community. And we need more. We need more.
Absolutely. If anybody's like, on the fence about, sharing their story, don't ever minimize that your story doesn't matter. It does need to be spoken because, the more and more people that come forward, but from what they've gone through, it helps, the collective whole for all of us too. So don't be discouraged. And I would have never thought that I would be doing a podcast because I was more of an introvert.
Yep.
But things shift because we can take that pain and that what we've gone through and we turn it into purpose and the activism and the outreach to others and sharing their story, because your story can reach someone. And your testimony of what you've gone through can reach someone. So don't hesitate. Consider, being a guest on the Chosen Heroes. Consider being a guest on Unveiling Shadows. This is how we continue making these waves that make a difference and get us to a quicker timeline of resolution for all of us all around the world.
Yeah, beautifully said, Melissa. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. And thank everybody for tuning in. It's so good to be back. And God bless everyone. And again, Kim, great discussion. And thank you for sharing your story and your wisdom with us all.
Absolutely. God bless everyone.
All right, everyone, have a great week ahead. And thanks for tuning in. God bless.